Everybody, welcome back. Episode 2 of the Fast Motor Podcast. I'm Elijah, my dad, Randy. I'll get right into it. I'll kind of read off. We got kind of a big topic we want to discuss today, so I'll kind of read off our winners, and then we'll kind of get into it. The ASA Stars were at Madison, and Kyle Steckley returned to victory lane, first time since he won at Anderson a couple years back. Thursday Night Thunder kind of reunion at IRP with the Hoosier 100. Dakota Armstrong set sail early and dominated. And then they had that All-Star Midget Series with a bunch of midgets out there. And Kyle Hamilton picked up the win. Some pretty good race in there. Sprint cars, the 500 Sprint Car Tour, they were out at Winchester. And Jackson Masenko got his first career victory with that series. He's been running it for a few years now. Arca West running at Sonoma, Sam Corey picked up the win. He's a road racer. And then Arca National, same day at Elko, Max Reeves got the win. Landon S. Huffman leading late and had the rear suspension just wobbling around back and forth. Broke something bad there
track bar
at the end. And High Limit going over to the dirt sprint car side. High Limit at Big Sky for the Race Routine Foundation race. Rico Abreu took what was supposed to be night 1 of 2, ended up getting rained out with some thunderstorms on the second night. Rico Abreu capitalized late, got himself up on a restart, and then Ryan Timms was kind of out front, jumped over the cushion. Rico Abreu was able to capitalize and take that win. This wasn't the Race Routine Foundation like big payout race, but I think he's won the 3 of those Race Routine Foundation races. When they're putting some money up, he usually figures out a way to be fast.
He was just smart there. Like watching the end of that race, Timms was really fast on the cushion, and it looked like a kind of a vicious cushion, which I guess if it rained out the first night, that makes sense.
It rained out night 2.
Rained out night 2.
Yeah.
Either way, it still had a pretty vicious cushion.
Mm-hmm.
And Rico got shuffled back on the start a little bit because I think he started on the front row. And he got shuffled back, and Timms ran the top. And then they had a restart, and Timms right back to the top. There's a little bit of a bottom, but it didn't seem like they could finish the corner off on the bottom. And Timms, jumped that cushion coming up off, and Rico was able to capitalize. And then Rico really ran like about a foot off the cushion. Like he ran kind of a safer line, so it still had enough grip, and just kind of proceeded to be consistent and smooth and win that one.
Yeah, and if there's not a bottom, like you can kind of block that top lane and be good. So smart. He's learned how to be. He was always fast, but he has learned how to be a real smart racer, and it's what won him a championship last year. The Outlaws were at Cedar Lake. David Gravel won the first night, and Sheldon Hodenshield won the second night there. I think I saw it was his 50th career Outlaw win, so cool for him. Doesn't feel like he's been in the series for that long, but I guess he has. Harley Davidson, we're going back to the pavement. The Harley Davidson 200 at South Boston. Caden Honeycutt dominated that race. It's one of those big crown jewel races at South Boston, and like I said, he dominated against a really strong field of cars. The IHRA series, they were back in action down at Anderson. A pro late model won by Jimmy Renfrew Jr. and late model sportsman Neil Meredith got the victory there. So they're still going strong after they got rained out a couple weeks ago. They're back and running. USAC sprint cars were at Butler. Kyle Cummins picked up the win there in a good race. Butler's kind of an interesting track. You kind of run it kind of unique. I remember when High Limit went there for the first time 2 years ago or so. It was unique. It was kind of fluffy up top. It's just interesting. It races different than a lot of tracks do. So cool when they go to some unique tracks.
And like Cummins last won it like 10 years ago or something, or 5 years ago when they last ran it. Yeah.
The Western States Midgets, they were at Merced, and first-time winner Brody Graham picked up the victory out there. There's been a lot of first-time winners in that series this year. It's been fun. to kind of follow. They don't have a ton of cars, but they have a very tight group of cars that, different guys are winning each week. Makes it kind of exciting. Staying on the dirt out west, the Sure Can Showdown out at Ventura, put on by the Ultimate Sprint Car Series. They brought wing cars to Ventura for the first time in I don't know how long. Tony Gomes picked up the win. Looked like he was running the Calderwood car. And the non-wing sprint cars, Ryan Bernal, who has been very, very good in a non-wing sprint car out west, especially with the USCS this year, picked up the win. Sure Can Showdown, a really cool event that they do. I got to be at that one a few years ago. Chase Johnson was running a midget and a sprint car, and he won both, and then he won the Stoops Pursuit, and then started at the tail, and it was just an awesome night. Like the sponsorship that they bring in there was super.
It's a good payday, right? It's like
a good payday.
$5,000 to win or something.
Yeah, Sure Can. They're out of Hawaii, so they do like a big Hawaiian shirt contest and all done up. Like they do a really cool job with it. I've got to be there in person at their first one. That one was awesome, and following it on social media. I wish I could be there again, but it's really cool. So if you have the chance, if you're out west, you can go to the Sure Can Showdown. I'm sure they're going to have it again next year because it's been a really cool event for them. So
it sounded like the Wings put on a great race too. Like
that's what it sounds like.
And I know the Outlaws go there later this year, so that's good prep for that. And
yeah, for sure.
Kind of cool that the cars got to put on a good show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Staying out west, the Cars Tour West at Evergreen. Keelan Harvick got the win over his father Kevin. Kevin was trying to reel him in at the end, and I think there was a little sound bite. It was like they were asking Kevin, and he was telling him what Keelan was doing better, but he was like, "Don't tell him I said that," or "Don't tell him that." So that's always fun. Those two battle, and it's fun. I'm sure it's fun for them too.
And not only that, like what that's doing for the Northwest as far as fans and getting to watch Kevin who raced out there in the trucks and raced out there in late models, and now Keelan that will be a superstar in the sport. Fans being able to see that, that's what the trucks used to do. The trucks used to go to the Evergreens and the Portlands and the smaller tracks that were kind of your short track fans and true true fans and can be able to connect to the drivers. And it seems like that's what Cars West is doing a really good job. So it's cool for those people to go see.
Absolutely. It's awesome. Kevin kind of took that over and it's really revamped the late model scene out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It was strong, but it was struggling, and it's got some star power back to it. It's a cool series. They put on some good events. So yes, very cool for that. Sticking with the late model and street stock themes, we go to Nashville. Nashville is running. They had the quarter mile stuff on Friday night with some rain that came in and kind of bashed up the limited late model race. And so then they ran the 5/8 stuff on Sunday. Pro lates were won by Hunter Wright. And the street stocks, our good friend Aiden Oliver picked up his second win. Charged early, got up and took some track position, made like a 3-wide move for the lead early, and then set sail and sounded like dominated the rest of the way. But
I don't think he has much fear.
No, he doesn't. He's going for it. But second win already, and pretty impressive, and pumped for them. They're good people. So kind of wraps up our short track stuff, and then go into Sonoma, O'Reilly Cup. Didn't matter. SVG got the win. Not for lack of challenges, especially the Cup race with Chase Briscoe coming at the end, which we talked about last week of Chase Briscoe being a good road racer. I said I could very well see Chase Briscoe winning that race. I almost saw it come to fruition, but SVG able to hold on like he does road courses. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but there's not that much to talk about with him winning. There is a lot to talk about. The bracket, there are 0 remaining perfect brackets as posted by NASCAR today. Our bracket did not do well.
A couple of things I want to say. One
Yeah.
about Trackhouse, real quick.
Yes.
Trackhouse not only won the Cup race, but they also won the MotoGP race, and on the same weekend. And they're the first American-owned team to ever win a MotoGP race. So
very cool.
That's pretty cool. And I didn't really hear it in the broadcast. Maybe I'm sure it was said, but they've invested a lot in a lot of places. As these teams build not just race teams, but marketing initiatives and investment opportunities. And I think Trackhouse is very leading edge there. Legacy is doing a lot of work there, obviously. And then, 2311, I think, is along that same lines where
Fire as well.
Yeah. Spire's huge that way as well with, Gainesville and, all the stuff that they're doing. So, yeah.
No, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, very cool. I didn't know that. I watched pretty much the whole race. Unless I just missed it that they didn't talk about it. But yeah, very cool to see first American team win. That's cool. Especially 250th anniversary is coming up, 4th of July this weekend. I finally get to see you again in person. You guys are coming to visit.
Yeah.
We might have to film on like Sunday night so we can get a live episode.
Well, that'd be fun.
So yeah, next episode might be coming at you with not 2 screens, but 1 screen. So yeah, our bracket, you try to predict who might do well, who might not do well. You can't predict who is going to break.
Yeah.
Or get caught up in a mess. And Tyler Reddick broke.
Yeah.
So Alex Bowman knocks off the top seed. That's back-to-back years. The top seed has gotten knocked off, I believe.
Yeah, and Bowman had a good run. He was a top 10 anyway.
Yeah.
So, a
Absolutely.
good run as well.
Yes.
Hate to just say it happened because of
yes, no, you can't discredit his run.
And Bowman could be he could be a really interesting character for this whole scenario. I mean, Chicago, he could run well, and yeah.
So yeah, obviously didn't see that one coming. We did have Cindric beating Keselowski. We didn't have Gilliland beating Suarez. Gilliland had a pretty solid day. Suarez had some problems.
Yeah.
Some things go wrong. Our big upset pick, Zane Smith, to go deep. Didn't have a great day. Carson Hocevar had a better day. He was fast and qualified well and finished better than Zane Smith did. So we lost that one. That's going to hurt us long term. We had Briscoe over Allmendinger. We got Ty Gibbs. That was good. McDowell over Wallace. So we hit the rest of that side of the bracket. We had Chase Elliott. That was good. We had Hamlin. We had Eric Jones. We had Busher. Our Bell with the wrists didn't play out as we'd hoped. We were hoping for insider tips there. Didn't happen. Stenhouse over Byron.
I'm happy that Bell did well.
I am too. I am too.
Who is he competing against?
He was against Chastain. So yeah, Bell did very well.
Yeah.
Stenhouse beat out Byron. Stenhouse actually had a solid day. Somebody who's not usually like a road racer. He had a pretty strong outing. And we had Larson, we had SVG, we had Blaney. So yeah, as we move forward, Bowman goes against Cindric at Chicagoland. And just kind of based on where those 2 programs are at, Hendrick versus Penske. Not that Hendrick's blowing anybody out of the water, but Penske's struggling. He could very well go.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time. I mean, Toyotas are just strong, right?
Toyotas are strong.
Every strong. And then, you have Spire have really been speed-wise leading the charge on for Chevrolet.
Yep, absolutely.
Larson finds a way to get up there and do what Larson does. But, to think of the 24 car, they're off.
They're off bad. They were in the top 10 for a portion. I don't know where he ended up, but yeah, they're off. I was we can't discredit Chase Elliott. I saw a points breakdown. Chase Elliott is right with Larson in points,
Yeah,
doing well.
he's just consistent.
Or I
He's
think
just
Larson's
super
fifth and
consistent.
Elliott's sixth.
Yeah, he's just super consistent.
Yeah.
And Byron, he's just not putting the races together, just having, what just happens. I don't know that people understand when you're having to find speed, the edge that you then push that causes all the little things. I mean, that's where you see the veteran status of a Chase Elliott. Like, this is what I got. I'm going to make the best of it today and get a good finish. But you see drivers when they're having to push and try to find a little speed that normally, has lots of issues happen and fall back. So, that's where you see the back markers and you think they're just really struggling. And it's like, they're only that little bit off, but trying to push limits and trying to get another position and trying to, their cars are not as stable or consistent. And, I think that's what you see happening.
Well, and it's not just the drivers pushing, but you got crews that are, hey, let's get some spots on pit road. And then they're trying to do something, hurry up and mistakes. And there might be making some more aggressive setup calls before the race with the crew chief of, hey, we got to try something to get some speed. And it may just put them out to lunch because, you have but it also goes into the seat. You got to Chase Elliott. He goes, I got a 10th place car. I'm going to sit here and run 10th. And I'm actually going to run 8th because I got two guys that have better cars than I do that are going to attrition, whatever. There's always something going to go wrong for somebody. He's going to run 8th because he can stay up there. Or you got a guy that's got a 10th place car that tries to run 5th. And now he's one of those guys that was in front of him, but put himself in a bad spot. And now he finished 18th. Yeah. So
happens a lot.
It's that's part of the beauty of the sport and why you got to respect the veterans. I mean, they figure out how to maximize the situation. And so talking a little bit about Young Pipeline, we alluded to it last week when we were talking about Corey Day and the potential silly season rumors of the 48 car opening up. Does Bowman even want to come back? And Corey Day going to the 48 car being too fast out of the O'Reilly series. And I still don't disagree with it, but then I sent you it, and just to give context of how this discussion kind of sparked between us. There's a clip of Connor Zilisch and SVG on the Dale Jr. download that I saw, and Zilisch was talking about getting into the Cup car, how much he's had to almost unlearn from the O'Reilly car or the Xfinity car at the time, the same car, of just how driving them and setting up passes and getting around guys is so drastically different. So you and I started talking a little bit about, is the O'Reilly series becoming almost obsolete in terms of driver development? Because you've got a Corey Heim who just won. You've got a Carson Hocevar who's super fast, who came straight out of the trucks straight to Cup. I love the O'Reilly series. I love the racing. You've got Zilisch, and equipment plays a role. We're not discrediting that. But you got Zilisch struggling. You got Josh Berry, who was fast early, struggling. You got Noah Gragson, who was on top of the world in Xfinity, struggling. And you got Noah Gragson, who has a teammate of Zane Smith, who came straight from the trucks. He's doing very well.
Yeah.
There's a discussion to be had.
Yeah, and I remember when Hocevar first went up, and he'd just barely won in the truck, I think, and there was that conversation of, is it too early? And all of a sudden he had speed, almost immediately. Obviously, Heim has just proven he's so incredibly capable. And Zane Smith, it took him a little bit of time, but he's. I think we talked about it last week. We believe he's over-delivering with what the cars he's in. And Zilisch, obviously, this is a poor representation of what he's capable of and will be capable of. He will find speed, and he will, but it is interesting. I mean, when you kind of brought it up initially, it was like, you can't discredit I don't know that the sample size or there's enough data to prove a fact yet.
No.
But you can't second guess somebody if they pull somebody out of the trucks and put them in the cup.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say they need to go into the Xfinity car or the O'Reilly car for X amount of time now and get there. So, when we were talking about it with Corey, it was a little bit of the racecraft. And I just mean racecraft of the maturity of, yes, I have a 5th place car and finish, let's finish 4th or 5th and finish instead of wadding it up trying to get first when you can't make it up.
Yeah.
But you certainly learn that in the truck. And is the truck dramatically different enough where it's not old habits? Maybe the aero disadvantage of the truck falls in line with the cars in track. I don't really know what it is, but you certainly can't question it any longer. The O'Reilly series has fantastic racing, tons of talent there, tons of great guys. But I think over time you saw guys that were incredibly gifted in the Busch car or the O'Reilly car, Nationwide, or whatever you wanted to call it, the support division of the Cup, that some didn't. Jimmy Johnson won one race, a fuel mileage race. And I don't know that their equipment was what Hendrick was, but
it wasn't.
But when he got into Hendrick, I mean, he's a 7-time champion, and just a dominant driver. So, and that was when there was horsepower, a big horsepower difference. And truthfully, the trucks had the equivalent. When I raced the trucks, we had the equivalent horsepower to the Cup cars. We had the exact same carburetor. We had the exact same motor. Actually, our motors had a roller cam in them instead of the flat tappet cam that the Cup cars had. So, possibly even more horsepower for the right teams, but and the same weight. So, was there even a learning curve that was beneficial there? So, I think it's a story. I don't hear much being talked about it.
No, that's what we should have Matt Weaver on.
Because I think there's so much, when you're part of it and you're so close to it, again, you're in your same circles that we get that little bit of moment to look out from the outside and kind of talk about it from a different view and go, there's starting to be a trend here. I mean, there's enough drivers that have just had truck experience that are actually performing incredibly well at the Cup level. And there's some guys that you thought were an immediate, transfer to talent, from talent to Xfinity or O'Reilly right to the Cup that, even Cindric was a 10-time winner.
And his first full season was in the next gen car.
So,
and yes, he won the Daytona 500, but drafting track is not really.
That's a different animal. So,
it's just very interesting. Another guy. I mean, and they finally figured out some speed, but Ty Gibbs came from O'Reilly and struggled tremendously.
I think there's a little bit there. Ty Gibbs probably had a Cup. He had a Cup affiliated team, but I'll guarantee you that O'Reilly car he drove was a Cup team. Just running there. And I think he had Cindric in the same scenario, very, very good team. I think you have Corey Day. That's a Hendrick car. I'm sure that's incredible. You had Zilich in a Junior Motorsports. That's one, how many of there? And then they're stepping into Cup, which most have stepped into good rides, but you're now on equal terms with everybody. So, their talent level was top notch, right? Yes. Where they were, but then paired with a very winning organization, put them at another league. And then now you step in Cup and, and I think that's some of what we just talked about a little bit with is, okay, I'm still learning. I'm having to figure out a way to find speed. I have to earn respect here. I was watching the race the other day, and I thought, um, not the Cup race. I think I was watching, the race from Indianapolis Raceway Park, and I think somebody laid oil down at one point during the day or something. And I remember us trying to figure out if grip was going to come back that part of the track again, or set up or what. And even you hear all the color commentary from all the crew chiefs. There's some pieces that are missing on the. I feel like we take a race in now that this is what they have. This is how they got the setup. Either you got a good car today or not. And I don't know that we're taking in all the variables that go on with the cars and the track and the team and the and it would be impossible to do. And I think our commentary is phenomenal right now across so many of the divisions. So it's not a knock there, but it's like, I was thinking about back when I drove, like adjusting air pressure through the night, watching the temperatures change, watching, and in Cup, we became so consistent where how they make their changes and everybody kind of knows it, where even on a short track, which tire are you going to put on? Because on the dirt, I don't know that they are designated to one tire. You mostly have, a few different compounds that you can run. And so what are you choosing? And is it going to go away earlier, or does it gain grip, or does it lay rubber? And there's so many variables that I think we as fans have forgotten that are happening throughout a night. And, how does that affect the race? And, the better teams figure that out. And those drivers go through that scenario, and then they get into Cup. And, I always think, wow, somebody's running 20th. What a horrible day. And then I look at the 19 cars in front of them and go, I don't know, who do you knock out of that? Yeah. Like, who do you knock out of that top 20 to say that they deserve better? And you could probably go to the top 30, to be honest. Like, when you have a guy that finishes, 25th, and you go, oh my God, that's a horrible day. And then you look in front of him and go, you're going to have to knock out good dudes. Like,
you have to beat a lot of good cars.
Yeah, it's so to do it consistently is almost impossible today. Mm-hmm. There's some great teams and great cars, and it's what we've said all along. And I hate sometimes that we kind of end it with Cup, but you have so much information for Cup. Like, yes. You see so much debrief. You see the races. You hear so much. We have more data to speak to, but like, we're living in an era, there's never been more teams that are competitive. I mean, you look at that. We talk Zane Smith, with Front Row, and he's running up front. You have Spire that started in the sport only X amount of years ago, where they were just doing starting parks, and that are now competing for wins. They sit on the outside front row. You have Trackhouse that wasn't even a team a few years ago that won, and then took a shot on a premier road racer and played the game to get him in and win races. And here you have Hendrick, and we're talking about, Bowman. We didn't even have him finishing, he finished 10th, and we didn't even have him beating, Reddick. Yeah. So it's been a remarkable, there's just so much that we're as fans are taking for granted on how amazing it is right now. So
yeah, and it trickles down. You go to sprint cars, not just high limit or outlaws, high limit and outlaws. You don't have Steve Kinzer or Sammy Swindell or Doug Wolfgang winning all the shows. You've got David Gravel with Big Game Motorsports. You've got Roth with Buddy Kofoid. You've got Tony Stewart Racing with Rico. You've got RSR, Ridge Sons Racing with Aaron Reitzel. You've got Tanner Thorson with his own deal. Like, all these guys are super fast. You got Clausen Marshall with Tyler Courtney, like Brent Marks with their family. I mean, like, that's just sprint cars. You could go to late models, and you got Donnie Wilson with the kind of Toyota up and comers. You got Carson Brown driving for Anthony Campy. You've got, the group that Casey Roderick's driving for that puts Cletus's car together for his ARCA deal. Like, and their name is escaping me at the moment right now. There's so much racing to watch. You've got the Cars Tour with all the teams that are fast there with Pulliam and, there's so many junior, like there's so many.
No, then Honeycutt, comes,
Honeycutt.
That's a different team, right?
Yeah. And that team puts
So,
together beautiful race cars.
yeah, that car looked good.
They're kind of styled like the old Wood brothers with the gold note. Like, oh my gosh, those cars are pretty.
Yeah.
Those cars are so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's across the board, there's just so much competitive racing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes all the way down.
Yeah. It goes all
I haven't heard much of this year is Millbridge. I haven't heard a lot about Millbridge this year for some reason.
I mean, they're still running. I think they're just doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Audrey Larson's raced out there, and I think she won one this year in a box stock or something like that. And but that extreme midget series that was at the Outlaws, kind of rival to USAC, they are no longer a series. They run like the Ironman supplement to the Outlaws at I-55, and then they run, like, I think that's Millbridge's midgets. Anytime they have midgets out there, it's them. But
well, I think you have such a healthy sprint car scene, and and I think, and I could be way wrong on this, but I feel like on a lot of the short dirt tracks, you can probably build a satisfactory power plant because the sprint car has so much horsepower in a V8 that you're maybe the investment in the engine is not near as considerable as it is a midget, where
$50,000 if you want to go to one,
or 65,000 from what I'm hearing anymore.
Oh my gosh!
So it that price has just gone up, and I don't, prize money hasn't, but it never has. Let's just not fool with that. Like it never pays for racing in midget racing, nor has it ever. So
yeah, but the fact that it hasn't very much gone up since you have won at Thursday Night Thunder is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just so. Sprint cars are so healthy, especially wing sprint.
Healthy. I don't think that the landscape and the USAC, I mean, also tune in. Like we got the BC39 with 68 midgets, I think I saw on the entry list. Like they're still putting, and I mean, you got Chili Bowl who's got 400 cars in the building. Like they're there. They're just not economical to run all the time. So they'll put on some great big events. But, the USAC National Touring Group has gotten smaller.
Well, I think that's all you have. You don't have I think USAC's done a great job with Power Eye and all of the scenarios, but I don't know that you have local healthy sprint car programs a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have local midget programs a lot of places. So when you got to pull them out of the woodwork, they either pull the car out and they run a race, or however they're doing it. I don't know where these cars sit when they're not racing, but I don't think they're racing. That's the difference. No. Where sprint cars are racing, you're either running your local program and then coming in for the when USAC comes, or you're running a local program with a wing and you come in with high limit or the Outlaws run. Yeah. Everybody can say what they want about the high, there's a lot of fans that will say the split's not good for World of Outlaws high limit, but I think in overall wing sprint car racing, it's so healthy.
It has done wonders.
Yeah.
Like, and we were just talking last week across Skagit and Huset's. You had 3 six-figure paydays in the span of a week for wing sprint car racing. Like, it's tremendous what those two and the rivalry, because you can't say that the rivalry hasn't brought some eyes. Right. And then you get hype around it, and now it's on. We got some nationally televised races live, not replays, but live. Like, some good stuff going on. Racing's in a good spot. Now the pipeline on how drivers are getting to the top. Who even really knows at this point? Guys are coming from
Yeah.
everywhere, which I also think is great because you got Shane Van Gisbergen, who established nationally or not, he was a prospect. He got his race with the Project 91 deal, and then ran a series in the O'Reilly series or Xfinity at the time. Like, he was an up and comer. Now he is who he is. Like, you've got guys that are coming from that. You got guys that are running like Brent Cruz, who's ran Trans Am stuff. You've got guys that are coming from late model backgrounds. You got sprint car guys. You've got guys that have raced midgets. You've got a whole plethora of drivers.
Brent Cruz has ran a lot, though, right? He ran
Brent Cruz
Chili
has done a
Bowl.
lot. He's ran some midgets. He's a Trans Am champion. He won a Trans Am championship for Trackhouse, I believe.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah,
he's done a lot. Late models, like he won Cars Tour for Kevin Harvick. Like, he's done.
What's really interesting in this, I mean, we won't want to go long because we don't have a whole lot. But I watched an article of, somebody posted it and just said, this is a, this will not be a popular take, but it's like we can still race to have fun. And it was talking about like their child, right? That we can go out and we race for fun. We don't have to test all week. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do this. This is not about making it to Formula One or NASCAR. This is about, us enjoying it. And I thought there is a part of the sport, and you live it with travel ball, and racing, seeing it maybe for the first time, where the sport's so popular, it's gotten younger, that is focusing merely on the future, not the now. And granted, it doesn't take anything away from the Brexton Bushes or the Harvicks or the even Brent Cruz that's super young, and then the talents that are getting there. I'm not taking anything away from them, but the local racing scene where they're just racing to, mom, dad, child, have a good time. And it was just this gentleman's take that runs a child to just say, we still do it for this. Grades still need to be up. This needs to be up. And I don't discount it, but I know Ty Gibbs I think he was homeschooled so he could race. I mean,
you have to when you're doing that.
Yeah. And that's making great race car drivers. And it's what Brett said, a few weeks ago, is that's why we have the talent we have, but we still have, that other side. And I hope that other side's still healthy, meaning if you can't do it all the time, if you can't test, if you can't put data acquisition on your cars, the people are still doing it. And when I think we've interviewed those, right? The street stocks at Nashville. I mean, that's what people have resources for, and they're still having a fun and a great time doing it. So,
well, and I had Peyton Zentgraf on a few weeks ago when you weren't there with that one, but it's like the best part of racing is going out with your friends and family. You're going racing on the weekends. Like, that's what that's what the vast majority of that Oklahoma dirt racing scene that I got to experience for 2 years was they were just out there because they loved it. And they'd go and there'd be 30 cars there in each division. And like, these guys are all just out there having a blast. And like, that part is absolutely necessary, because without that part, the uber competitive have the resources and the desire to make it big to NASCAR or Formula One or wherever, they don't have anybody to race against when they're up and coming.
Well, and I think, where I was getting that is we've seen that with other youth sports, and the sport has gotten big enough now that you see the same thing, right? You see driver coaches, you see private, crew chiefs, you see this, and you're seeing the exact same thing that we've seen with AAU basketball and AYSO soccer and travel baseball and football, where you see these kids marching in with these songs and just parading around like they're they're 8 years old, where the helmet's bigger than they are. Like, it's good. It's some of the flash is not me, and it wasn't you, but if kids are having fun, great. And just as long as they're still having fun.
I just look at coaching 10U baseball, and every kid on every team has their walk-up song. And I'm like, man, you guys don't know what it's like to have to earn a walk-up song.
Yeah,
there's some of that. There's a lot. That's a whole nother conversation of what we could get into of what I don't agree with about youth sports in general, but that's going to take a while. So, but going back to racing's in a healthy place. There's fun discussions to be had regarding the pipeline, the trajectory of where drivers are going to come from, and looking at potentially what series produce the best drivers. I wanted to make one other point on that of when we first went to the next gen car, William Byron was back running a bunch of super late model races, and he was really good in the next gen car. And he said that the super late model was what translated the best for him. We talk about the guys that kind of came straight out of trucks that are having some success. Corey Heim, late model guy. Carson Hocevar, late model guy. Like, the late models might be, but then you have Josh Berry, who was a late model guy and has struggled. You have Noah Gregson, who was a late model guy and has also and again, equipment plays a role, but it's like, it's just interesting to see, like, okay, why could, from me, who really doesn't know anything, I've not really driven anything, and I'm just grown up as a fan of, like, where did this guy come from? How has that helped him? How has that not necessarily hurt him, but how has that put him behind? There's stuff to be talked about. There's conversations, which is also a great part of our sport and where it's at right now. Is there's always something you can look at anything because there's so much of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, that kind of wraps us up for our busted bracket episode. Where I was hoping we'd come in with a huge success story of our bracket, but just like everybody else that did the in-season bracket challenge, no dice. Epic fail. So we will check in with you guys next week, hopefully with a little together in the same state episode of the Fast Motor Podcast. So look forward to that for next week, every Wednesday morning, Spotify and YouTube, and we'll see you guys next week.